Here are the top 5 mistakes that Tennessee homebuyers make all the time. Are you planning on buying a home in Tennessee? Well, there are some things that you need to know before you do. Hey everyone, my name is Brenna. I'm a realtor with Simply Home in the Middle Tennessee area, and I post weekly content related to Tennessee living, so don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with my upcoming content. Now on to the top 5 mistakes that Tennessee homebuyers make all the time. One of the first mistakes I see all the time is not getting your home tested for radon during the inspection. Radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas that can cause lung cancer. It typically moves up from the ground and into your air through cracks and other holes in your foundation. Radon is a very serious problem in Tennessee, and it's commonly overlooked by a lot of Tennessee homebuyers. The price for radon testing typically ranges from $150 to $300 depending on the size of your home. And for a cheaper option, you can go to your local hardware store and get radon testing kits. According to the EPA, an estimated 1 out of every 15 homes has elevated radon levels. If you are in any of the counties that are red on this map, then your home is at an increased radon risk. And if you are in a home that has elevated radon levels, then it's suggested that you do radon testing at least twice a year. So before you purchase a home in Tennessee, it's a good idea to get it tested for elevated radon levels. The next thing we're going to talk about is mold in Tennessee. Tennessee is very humid for a large portion of the year, which can present ideal conditions for mold growth. Your home inspector should inspect the home thoroughly and find any evidence of mold. And in general, it's not really necessary to test for mold. Both the CDC and the EPA do not suggest testing for mold. But if your home inspector does find mold of any kind in your home, it is important to take care of it because it can present different health risks. Toxic mold, otherwise known as black mold, can cause conditions like chronic sneezing, coughing, eye irritation, rashes, persistent headaches, and more. Check the home for any spaces that have elevated amounts of humidity, or basements or crawl spaces that may have leaks. Just be on the lookout for any areas of the home that has high moisture levels, and if you do see mold, just take care of it. The next thing Tennessee homebuyers need to be aware of is sinkholes. Tennessee is among the top 5 states with the most frequent occurrence of sinkholes. Before you make an offer on a home, ask your realtor for the Tennessee Property Condition Disclosure, and flip to the last page and look at item 27. This question asks, is there a sinkhole on the property? And goes on to define what a sinkhole is. This can be checked yes, no, or unknown. Most sellers will not have any knowledge of a sinkhole and will either check no or unknown. But if the seller does know about a sinkhole present on the property, they must check yes. A typical home inspector does not have the proper equipment to determine if a sinkhole is present on the property or not, but they can point out some warning signs, such as doors and windows becoming more difficult to close and open, cracks in the foundation or interior walls, and depressions or cracks in the ground outside. If you think a sinkhole may be developing on your property, then have a registered geologist come take a look at it. And here is a complete map of all of the current sinkholes in Tennessee. I've also linked in the description Tennessee's deepest sinkholes. The next thing you need to be aware of when you're buying a house in Tennessee are flood zones. If you're from another state, then you may not be aware of Tennessee flooding. During hurricane season, Tennessee gets hit with the weakened version of the hurricane known as tropical storms. During these storms, there can be a high risk of flooding. Tennessee has several major rivers running across the state, as well as some large lakes and streams. During heavy rainfall for an extended period of time, these bodies of water can begin to flood nearby areas. If you're curious about a property's flood risk, you can check the FEMA flood map. I have it linked in the description, and all you need to do is type in the property's address to find its flood risk. You can also check the Tennessee Property Condition Disclosure form on page 3, items 10 and 11. These items address if there is any flooding problems or if the property requires flood insurance. Since flooding is pretty common here in Tennessee, you should always check to see if a property is in a flood zone. My final thing that Tennessee homebuyers need to be aware of is traffic. In parts of Tennessee, traffic is becoming a major issue. And if you commute to work, then chances are you're going to be taking the same routes as everyone else commuting to work. So that means you're likely to be stuck in the same traffic as everyone else. Rush hour in Nashville in particular ranges from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And if you're on the interstate at any of those times Monday through Friday, you're most likely going to be in bumper-to-bumper traffic. Due to the population increase in many parts of the state of Tennessee, traffic has increased quite a bit in the last 5 years. I suggest routing your commute time during those rush hour times to see what your total commute will be. And if you'd like to research Tennessee traffic even more, then I have a Tennessee traffic map and Tennessee traffic history linked in the description below. With that final item, that concludes the list of the top 5 mistakes that homebuyers make while buying a home in Tennessee. These are commonly overlooked things that can turn into real issues in the long run. Let me know if you have any questions about buying a home in the state of Tennessee in the comment section down below. And if you're wondering where you want to live in Tennessee, then I have a video that compares city living versus country living in Tennessee, so go check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.